this week I want to talk about anxiety and relationships. Now, we're going to talk specifically around how relationships can trigger anxiety, or outer circumstances in life can trigger anxiety, but you can use this for any intense emotion that you're feeling: resentment, anger with a partner, guilt, shame, sadness. So whatever emotion or challenge that you're experiencing in life, you can apply this to. So what we're wanting to do is recognize that we've all experienced our mind and emotions taking us over and taking us on a roller coaster ride, and at the end we can feel emotionally depleted. So we know that that is the end result oftentimes. So what we're wanting to do is shift from that and come into a place where we are living at the level of our soul. And that may sound a little intimidating, but truthfully, this is an innate wisdom of who we are on the deepest self, part of ourselves. So there's a grace within it when you say yes to that part of yourself. So the first step in this is creating that acknowledgement when you're going through a challenge, that what if this is all happening for me? What if I'm being supported in the ways I need to grow the most? So the moment that you make that recognition to yourself, it moves that you've moved out of resistance and you're saying yes, and you're engaging with life. You're bringing the power and the light and the wisdom of who you are to the situation, which creates a tremendous amount of shift, just moving out of your monkey mind and out of resistance and out of all that emotion, and you're opening yourself up to the greater potential and the greater possibility available to you. Now, the second step is I'd like you to think about who is challenging you. What person is challenging you? If it's not a person, then what event, what circumstance in your life? Now, in your mind's eye, if it helps, you can close your eyes. I'd like you to see that person or that situation in your mind's eye as best you can. And then I'd like for you to see a statement above it written that says teacher. And this person is your teacher. When it's your partner or your parents or children or a boss, the emotional energy can make it very difficult for you to pull yourself out of the story and out of your right-wrong perspective, out of your feeling of needing to protect yourself. And it creates that separation. Whereas if this person is your teacher, then that means they have something of benefit to you, something of value for you to learn deeply about yourself. And I also like to then say, I am their teacher. So then it creates a level of love where the nervous system can calm down. We're moving out of protection mode, out of storyland, and we're moving into the possibility of if we are each other's teachers, there must be something here on a higher level for us. And so, and recognizing if you have guilt and shame going on in your body by saying that I am their teacher, it helps it to release that, because that means that you're serving them as well. So that's the second step. Now, the third is to ask yourself the soul level questions. And that is saying, how is this happening for me? What is this person or event trying to teach me? What do I need to learn? And when you ask those questions, it's helpful to move into your heart. Now, some people, they may feel like their heart is closed and it's difficult to get there. But even if you just take 5 breaths into your heart, you put your hands on your heart and you close your eyes and you take 5 even breaths in and out, you're going to slow yourself down. And the heart has an eternal wisdom that is such a profound energy for us to tap into that you want to practice. So even if it's tricky at first, that's totally fine. Just keep going back to the heart, because the more that you do, the more you'll strengthen that inner stillness and being able to ask a question and then receive it. And when you receive that answer and you know it to be true, you will feel your anxiety start to calm. You will feel your nervous system start to come into a more peaceful, grateful state. So when you're asking those questions, you are coming into the place that I have something to learn, and that there is something of benefit for me to learn. So you're becoming receptive. Now, I will give you an example, and we'll use it with anxiety, one that I see really common with my clients. So a lot of people with anxiety tend to not like conflict. It can create a tremendous amount of fear and angst inside, feeling like I have to confront, I have to have a conversation with someone, and it can create so much emotional energy that it can be imprisoning for a person, and they may not be able to speak their truth and say what they need to say, and the thought of it is just debilitating. And so what happens is they'll go days or weeks or months or longer in that sense of feeling disempowered and powerless and toxic. So what we'd want to do from this situation, if, for example, if this was what we were working with to get the level of the soul and the insights from the level of our soul, to say, how is this happening for me? What do I need to learn? So let's say someone is upset and they feel like they are not being appreciated, acknowledged for all that they're doing, and they feel like the other person is kind of using them. So you could go on that mind tangent for hours and not get yourself anywhere ultimately, and create tension with that person in your life. And maybe it's a loved one, so you're creating more distance and separation from that person. If you're taking ownership of it, you're actually saying, I have something to learn. What if they're perfect in what they're showing up for me because they're teaching me something? Because we're just looking at them as your teacher, so that means they are showing up in exactly the way that you need it. And that humility brings you into your power, actually, rather than trying to create conflict through passive aggression or direct aggression. So by taking ownership, you're actually moving into your power, and you're being vulnerable enough to grow. And so perhaps you might get the soul whispers to you, and your heart opens, and it says, you've been putting so much energy into this person that you're actually neglecting yourself. And you've been giving so much of yourself to everybody else, and maybe especially this person or especially work, that there's all of these things in your life that you might be neglecting. Maybe your health, maybe your downtime, maybe reading, or maybe catching up with your really good friends, maybe eating better, doing research about how you can shift your diet. And it's really common for me when I ask my clients, if I say, how much energy do you think you're putting into that thing that's challenging you, or that person? It's really common for it to be like 80-90% of their energy. So imagine if you took that 90% of your energy and you actually pulled it back into what you could solve and benefit in your own life. Because it's much easier to be caught up in the drama. That there's something about it that, we have a $1 trillion industry around creating drama and entertainment for our human minds. So obviously we're going to do that in our own world. And it's, on the flip side, it's much harder to go into yourself and deal with the things that are causing you the most problems in your own life. That's a lot more uncomfortable. And so what I would recommend then is looking at it from that perspective, where you're saying, okay, what problems are coming up in my life? Am I needing to focus more on my finances? Am I needing to focus more time, less time at work, more time with my kids and my family? What is it exactly that is being asked of you that you're neglecting? And maybe it's also recognizing that you're taking care of everybody else's needs, that you don't even know what your needs are. And so here you are, upset and resentful at someone, and all that energy is going outside of yourself into them, but you can't solve that problem if it's outside of you. But if you're recognizing that actually you don't even know what your needs are, you're just upset about it, perhaps going into your heart and asking your soul and raising to the consciousness of the level of your soul, you can recognize that I feel like my needs are that we need to have more equal share in household responsibilities, or we need to talk about parenting and how we want to parent differently, or I need us to have a talk about our finances and restructure our spending. And so once you move into the lesson and you're moving into the wisdom and you're growing, then you'll notice that when you get that lesson, you come into a greater sense of peace. And there can be joy, there can be gratitude. And suddenly you're not upset at that person, but you can have gratitude for what they were really teaching you that you more deeply needed to know. Because if they weren't showing up for you that way, you would be continuously being rewarded to give 90% of yourself away. So that can be an example of looking at life, or looking at the thing that is challenging you the most as, this is my teacher. This isn't something bad. I don't need to have a story about this. I don't need to get myself worked up about it. I need to come into the depth of myself and raise to the level of my soul and ask these questions. Now, if you shift from there, then it's not a conflict anymore. It can be a conversation. And you can acknowledge, because you grew, you might feel gratitude for how this person actually was really helping you to grow in the ways that you needed to most. And so you can then come not in a place of anger and resentment and hostility and overwhelm and just tons of emotions, where if you come at it with that person, they're going to put up their defenses and you're probably going to have some kind of a blowout or a misunderstanding. But if you're coming from strength and vulnerability, you can acknowledge what that person does in your life, and then you can present your needs. You can say, I need for us to look at this, or I was thinking, and this is what I need to work on, and this is what I was hoping that we can talk about and come to a higher understanding. So the truth is that within our anxiety is a profound opportunity on a soul level that can be a rippling effect in every area of our life changing in every area of our life. So it is truly amazing when you recognize that through the disguise of everything, life really is working for you. And if this resonates for you and you're interested in learning more about how your anxiety is truly trying to teach you so many profound things, you can go to my Work With Me page, and I just put up a new video, and I think you might find it really helpful for you just to open up your mind and start to see how much more you could be getting out of your life if you stopped resisting and coping and suppressing your anxiety, but you actually moved into it and you embraced it as your teacher. Okay, well, I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And I am sending you love and strength on your self-healing journey.